This was one of the best weeks ever for President Trump, and, well, the faces over at CNN kinda say it all. So Scott Jennings went on air and said that he's not sick of all the winning, and he explained why this was such a historic week for President Trump. And trust me, you'll want to pay attention to everyone else's faces.
Donald Trump just going crazy in terms of executive orders. He can issue an executive order today and will likely. He said so today. And he knows that the lower courts cannot carte blanche stop him, which hugely increases the power of the executive.
Yeah, look, this is a great week for him, not just because of this ruling, but earlier in the week, the Supreme Court handed him the ruling on being able to deport illegal immigrants to third-party countries, essentially. So he's on a little bit of a winning streak in the courts right now. And you know what a lot of Republicans are saying is, nope, we're not tired of winning yet. This happened. The stock market's at a record high. He brokered the ceasefire in the 12-day war. Peace broke out between Rwanda and the Congo. I mean, gas prices are at a 4-year low for the summer. I mean, win after win after win. And this particular one is the most important because these individual judges had been, I think, unfairly stopping the president from governing. He won the election. They didn't. We don't have 600 presidents. We have one president. And now he's going to be able to actually govern. And so you could make an argument that this week or the last 2 weeks, the best week or 2 weeks of his entire presidency.
As usual, Scott Jennings was spot on about everything. Now, I would like to counter something Abby Phillips said at the top of that segment. She said that the Supreme Court expanded the power of the presidency, but that's just completely false. What the Supreme Court did was limit the power of these radical activist judges, right? They were basically ensuring what the Constitution says, that we have 3 co-equal branches of government. And they were saying, hey, these judges, you're overexerting your authority, you're stepping outside of the parameters, you're stepping outside of your boundaries, and you're trying to rule by lawfare, by judicial fiat. That has nothing to do with turning President Trump into a king. Yet the Democrats and the media, they're going to double down on that. They're going to double down on the authoritarian fear-mongering because they have nothing else. Not only are they on a huge losing streak right now, but the Democrat Party is in such disarray, they have nothing to counter President Trump's foreign policy wins, the Supreme Court wins, and as Scott Jennings teased, the economic wins. So this news was overshadowed yesterday because, of course, the huge Supreme Court decisions, but the stock market, the S&P 500, closed at record highs. Keep in mind, these record highs are after the Democrats and the media assured us that the stock market was going to crash. They assured us that the economy was going to head into a recession, if not a depression, because of President Trump's tariffs. Yet things are humming along smoothly. In fact, things are getting better than they were under Joe Biden. On top of all of that, the media is now forced to admit, according to CBS News, the Trump tariffs aren't causing U.S. prices to spike. Here's why. Oh, yeah, about that inflation, I guess they were wrong about that too. But don't you worry, the media is working overtime, everything. They have to find whatever negative spin they can. According to the Associated Press, gloomy Americans cut back on spending as inflation ticks higher. So there are 2 things here to pay attention to. Number 1, why did Americans cut back on spending? Well, thanks to the research, we actually know why. So because of the fear-mongering around tariffs, because of the fear-mongering around supposed higher prices right around the corner, Americans actually spent more than usual in March and April to prepare for that. Basically, people were loading up, stocking up on goods that they were afraid were going to cost more. And so when May came, they didn't need to buy those goods because they already had them in stock. It's kind of similar to the COVID pandemic when everyone started loading up, stocking up on toilet paper. And not only do we have that research, but it's also proven by the fact that discretionary spending hasn't changed at all. It was just that sector of the economy. And then number 2, you just got to love how the Associated Press frames this. Inflation ticks higher. And all these headlines make it sound like, oh no, inflation's coming up. It is true that it did tick higher. Obviously, it's not the direction we want it to go. But take a look at what they're focusing on. So ever since Trump was inaugurated, inflation has dropped by almost an entire percentage point. Yet last month it ticks up by 0.1%, that little area in the red circle there, and that's what the media is focused on. They just can't admit, let alone acknowledge, that President Trump might actually be right about something. President Trump might actually be trying to do good in this world. So what do? They take a magnifying glass and they try to find whatever bad and negative news they can, they magnify it, and then they broadcast it to their entire audience. And that's why I'm so thankful that we have someone like Scott Jennings on CNN trying to push the truth out there. Here's Scott Jennings' explanation of how President Trump helped broker peace in the Middle East.
Sorry. Scott, he is the commander-in-chief, but there are military experts, there are people in his cabinet that he trusts, or else we wouldn't have a cabinet,
with
right?
All, with
he
all
puts
due
them in
respect,
charge.
if the commander-in-chief
Yeah.
sends B-2 bombers halfway around the world to eradicate the nuclear program of another country,
So now it's eradicate, not obliterate?
You expect the commander-in-chief to give a report to the American people. That's number one. Number two,
which he did.
He did that.
On
the issue, global issue, macro issue in the Middle East, look what's happening. The ceasefire is holding. Apparently, Israel and Syria are on the brink of a peace treaty. Apparently, we're on the brink of expanding the Abraham Accords. I think what you see happening right now is that you've weakened the head of the terror octopus to the point where the rest of the region is finally looking at a future where maybe there will be peace in the Middle East and maybe Israel is not facing terrorism on its borders every single day. This is a good thing.
Okay, so Joel, I'll ask you again.
And look, it's not even just the Middle East. As was mentioned earlier, it's also Rwanda and the Congo in Africa. So according to the Associated Press, Trump helped these African countries sign a peace deal. Here's what we know. And that happened yesterday. Obviously, that news was also overshadowed by all the Supreme Court decisions. But the presidents of both countries are actually going to be going to Washington in the next few weeks to settle out that peace deal. And then also, you might not know, but President Trump has officially been nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. And who was he nominated by? He was nominated by Pakistan because of the treaty, the peace deal he was able to broker between Pakistan and India. According to CNN, Pakistan nominates Trump for Nobel Peace Prize, praising stellar statesmanship. I mean, that right there is huge news. Now, before we get to the last segment where Scott Jennings is talking about the stock market and all the other CNN panelists are trying to say, oh, the stock market doesn't matter, it doesn't actually affect Americans. Well, tell that to your 401k account. I would like to acknowledge Agenda Manuro 3195 and Jeremy 2001 Happy as the members of today's Governors Club. These are people who have given tips or super thanks to the channel. I really appreciate it. I mean, the stock market at record highs is just great news. It's not just great for all of us who invest, but it's also good news for these companies, right? Because that means that they have even more capital to invest in the United States economy, to invest in American workers, to invest in new technologies, products, services. I mean, this is all great news, and yet CNN can't even celebrate that when they were the ones who were crying that the sky was falling.
Scott offered one explanation for the highs in the stock market. There are other explanations. Here's one from Jason Furman, an economist. The macroeconomy is doing decently. He said, especially when it comes to tariffs, the market is now more confident that Trump will back off if necessary, he added. In April, I think the fear was that he would just plow ahead no matter what. Now there is a sense that there are realities that he won't try to blow past.
Exactly.
It's hard to argue, Scott, that that's not accurate when just this week, today, they're saying, oh, that 90-day deadline, we're just going to push it back out another 90 days. So the market's basically saying, oh, okay, they're just going to push it back.
Well, whatever it takes to say Donald Trump is wrong, I guess that's what people will do.
Well, no,
even today.
But genuinely, maybe you could argue that this is a negotiating tactic that is working fine. But the truth is, Trump is in fact backing down, and the markets have calmed because of that.
Yeah, he's doing what he thinks he needs to do with individual situations, and look also what's happening with individual companies. We had reshoring announcements this week. General Electric in my home state of Kentucky decided to reshore a bunch of jobs. The CEO of General Electric said the current policy environment is why we're doing it. So they're bringing a whole bunch of jobs from overseas back to the United States. You have announcement after announcement after announcement on top of these great gains in the market. Maybe sometimes the answer is, hey, maybe it's working. Maybe it's working.
Exactly. And what I love, I mean, just the irony of all of this, right? The new acronym, TACO, Trump always chickens out. And you heard Abby Phillips say it there. Oh, Trump's, backing off. He's changing course. It's funny that we're even talking about this the exact same week. It hasn't even been an entire full week since President Trump authorized the bombing at the 3 sites in Iran, right? Like, a lot of people said, oh, Trump's going to chicken out, yet he actually did it. And guess what? He didn't pull us into another forever war. Guess what? He didn't put boots on the ground. He stuck to his red line. And it's been very clear from the very beginning that these tariffs were always a negotiating tactic, and he was trying to get the best deal possible, and yet they can't even acknowledge that.
But if you tell me you're going to do 10 things and you do one of them and you keep claiming victory and the other 9 are just coming down the
economy are you unhappy about today?
go to.
Me personally, because I could easily go into the
What about
There's
the
another
market
bigger picture
or
problem
any
here.
of
Well,
those-
wait a minute. The market. Hold on one second. Just on the market. Just on the market.
go
Wait a
ahead.
minute. When the market was plummeting, the market didn't matter. But today the
It's Joe
market is
Biden's
good, so
economy.
now
It's
it
Joe
matters.
Biden's economy back.
And this is the double talk we're talking about. It's like the reason why people are hesitant to be like, yes, this is good, Donald Trump, because y'all don't do it either. People are not being honest brokers on these things. People who voted for Donald Trump as working class Americans are still struggling today as they were on November 5th. That is a fact. So they don't care that those arrows on that paper are green. Just like you told me they didn't care when those arrows were red.
Look, we have low gas prices right now. We have jobs coming back to the United States. We have inflation rates slowing.
You sound like me
We
on
have-
November 4th.
I mean, we have a lot of
And that was the
positive
day before the
green,
election,
we have a
and we
lot of
lost.
positive green
If you
shoots in the
forgot.
economy, and you don't seem to want to acknowledge it. It's kind of working.
There are positive.
For those of you with 401k accounts and for those of you with investments, are you happy or sad that those green arrows are there pointing upwards? I mean, and she totally misrepresented the argument, right? No one said that the stock market doesn't matter. What people were saying on the right was that this is just temporary. This is just a blip to get us to a better place. It's almost like a wind up, right? We're going to wind up so that we can shoot and propel ourselves forward. And clearly, that is what's happening. Now, one more thing I want to debunk. This isn't necessarily from CNN, but there are a lot of headlines that I'm seeing from mainstream media sources saying that income is dropping, but that actually isn't true. I mean, technically it's true, but they're not explaining the entire story here. So the reason why income is technically lower is because there was a one-time Social Security payment that was made in March and April. The last payment should have been made in April. So this is from the Social Security website. Social Security pays billions of dollars in retroactive payments. By the way, these were authorized under Joe Biden. These payments totaled $7.5 billion and were sent to over 1.1 million people. They started going out in March. The last one should have arrived by April, and Social Security payments do count as income. And so when you actually take those one-time retroactive payments out, income is actually up. But because people received a one-time payment, March, April, they weren't getting them in May. So what happened? Income dropped in May. But again, if you take that Social Security one-time payment out of the mix, then incomes are higher. But of course, the mainstream media doesn't get into those details because, like I said, they just want to focus on the negative news. And look, I'm not going to deny that inflation, ticked upwards last month. That is true. But, if I'm just going to be honest, it's because of housing. And housing is a long-standing issue. It's a matter of supply and demand, and you can't build houses overnight. That is a process that takes months. And quite frankly, when it comes to the entire country, whether it's the economy, foreign policy, border security. These are problems that took years, if not decades, but a lot of the problems, such as the border, took 4 years under Joe Biden to get to such a terrible point. So they're not going to be fixed overnight. It is going to take some time. But as always, all of that is just my analysis and commentary. That is what's going on in the world of politics from my point of view, and I would love to hear from you. So what do you think is President Trump's biggest victory this week? I think he had a lot of wins. Are you most happy about the foreign policy stuff, brokering a ceasefire between Iran and Israel? Are you happy about the Supreme Court decisions, the Supreme Court wins? Are you happy about the economy? Are you happy about the border? Let me know what you are most happy about this week. I know the news can be negative, so hey, question of the day, let's be positive. What are you happy about as far as things going in the right direction? Let me know in the comments. I can't wait to hear from you. If you haven't already, please be sure to leave me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask for, but it really does help me reach more viewers like you in the algorithm. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.